Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So a couple days ago I noticed I was missing some cassette tapes, and actually just about an hour ago I realized, I was like, oh yeah, those are in the Roadmaster. So I figured I'd go and get them for today's demonstration, although these are not why we are here. Today we are here to clean the volume pot on the old GPX here. And actually why I'm doing this is because I'm going to be using this as my primary tape player for my hi-fi over there. Now I could use the good old Wilson like we were using before. If I can get that in there. But let's refresh our memory on how this sounded. So yeah, there was some considerable wow and flutter in that machine. Now this GPX actually does work, but for some reason you have to mess with the volume pot. And the reason why it's doing that is because when we're pushing on it, it's actually giving the swiper a chance to actually make a contact on the inside of your volume pot. So basically, all you have to do in that case is take this apart and get down to that potentiometer and clean it using some type of an electronic cleaner like this. Now, I do have Dr. Gonzo's tape recorder as well as Elf's tape recorder, but the thing with these is they only play in mono. This one, even though it has a single speaker, it does play mono, but it actually plays stereo through the headphones. So real easy, I guess all we're going to have to do is going to go ahead and take that apart and clean that volume pot. But go ahead and stick around till the end because I got two other things that I want to show you. One which is going to be a really cool project. It might take a while, but it'll be some good content. The other thing is just something I want to show you that I bought. Okay, so this was a pretty standard little tape player that you could get, I think well into the possible early 2000s. And not the greatest in the world, but I would imagine that the tape deck mechanism in this is going to be much better than the tape deck mechanisms you can get in anything nowadays. So it looks like we got a screw hiding in there. Looks like it should be pretty straightforward. What is that, 5 screws? Hopefully this whole back should just kind of pop off. Okay, camera overheating for whatever reason. Not even hot. Okay, it looks about right. So, what was I doing again? Oh yeah. So there's the potentiometer. That's going to be very easy to get to and clean. So this shouldn't take too long at all. But this wouldn't be the blown capacitor if I didn't bore you with what was going inside. So, going on with inside. So, these belts are really loose, but I'm not going to mess with them for now. Just because. So, looks like we got our good old LA4160, which, as you can see, is just a standard tape recorder chip. This is a Sanyo chip, and I believe it's the same thing that's in Elf's tape recorder, if I remember. I remember seeing one extremely like it very recently lately. But yeah, pretty much not the super top of the line by any means, being a GPX, but it's not horrible. So now we can see there's the potentiometer. Looks like there's some hair or something wrapped around it. So what I'm actually going to do to make it easier to clean this is probably set it up like this. And then try to spray down from here, because where those little traces come out, there's an opening there, and that's the best way to get it in there. And I don't know, maybe I can Maybe we can try to remove whatever this is. Yeah. Weird. Huh. See, now maybe if we put it on an angle a little bit like that, when I spray this, it'll be able to kind of get down into there. So basically, I hope I have enough left. All we're going to do is just, I'm going to spray kind of right down into where I showed you before. No, that sucks. So apparently I'm out of electric cleaner. Garbage. So what I'm going to do is take some of this 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour it down in there and then work it around, and let's see what happens. Maybe I can do this. It's just alcohol, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, that's way too much. Perfect. You're going to like that. Now we just work it back and forth. I've never tried alcohol while doing this. If you're following along at home, use this at your own risk. I've never used it before. If you wait long enough, it's all going to evaporate. So, but be careful about any open flames or anything. Yada yada, all that. We're just going to work this around. Okay, so something I was really not paying attention to much there is the fact that the transformer's right under there. That's alright, I'm going to go ahead and blow that out and clean it all up. Like I said, even if you're worried about it, just wait, maybe an hour. All that alcohol will evaporate. But definitely get yourself some contact cleaner or something to spray in there. It makes this a lot easier. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then we'll come back to it, and we'll see if it works any better. Hopefully it does. I don't know. Alright, so I went ahead and cleaning the pot definitely worked, but ever since putting it back together, it's running very slowly. I changed the belts on it to pretty much the exact same size belts, same width and everything. I don't know what I did. Oh well, I'm kind of getting sick of tape players. If anybody who's watching who is part of a corporation who makes audio equipment, just make a good tape player again. People will buy it. I would buy it. But I guess my search continues until I can get the CFD going. That's Sony. But as you can see, we'll put on some country. Okay. Of course, nothing's going to come in. Keep in mind, I live in the middle of nowhere.
You have to even do this first with the nation.
I heard live there for a second. Okay, well, anyways, as you can tell, the volume pot is fixed. So, either way, at least you could tell the volume pot's fixed. That's how you clean them. The alcohol worked just fine, but, yeah, this was just kind of a demonstration. Wasn't really putting too much hope into this thing working, but, oh well, out with the old piece of shit. Nice. Alright, this is going to go into the scrap bin, and let's go ahead and look at the other two things I wanted to show you. Why would you want to fix a GPX anyways? Alright, the first thing I wanted to show you guys is this MCS turntable that I picked up. It's pretty sweet. I actually picked it up from a very, very good friend of mine. He was a really good friend of mine in high school. I got it from his aunt, very close to me. So it's pretty cool. It's got your program, it's got pitch, speed control. This one actually had the counterweight. And this one has the very cool feature of that little strobe light indicates, if you see the bottom increment right there is 33 RPM at 60 Hertz. We run 60 Hertz here in the States. Probably I'm going to have to cut part of that, so I'll go back and say what I was saying. If you look down here, you got the 33 RPM by 60 Hertz, RPM by 60 Hertz. And as you could see, here, we'll go ahead and lift this up so it doesn't play, but the ones at the bottom kind of stay still. There's a little tiny bit of wow and flutter, and that's another thing that these can actually show you. But what that's showing is that since the bottom row is kind of staying still, that means that it's running pretty close to perfect speed. So yeah, pretty cool. MCS was pretty much a Technics here in the States. It was under the JCPenney. It was their house brand. So actually a pretty dang good component. You know, you could either order out of the JCPenney catalog or go in and buy, you know, yourself. But yeah, just figured I'd show you guys that. It's pretty cool. Well, this is an Infinity SM152. Well, it's a cabinet of an Infinity SM152. And kind of the backstory on this is I have both of them. And, oh, there's blue. And the person who gave them to me told me that they got them from a local city close to us, a village. It's kind of a dump / burn pit. There's Garfield. And they hear me talking. I'm sure that's why they always come in here. I think I'm talking to them. Basically, these were already in a burn pit. And I know exactly what happened is there's a local scrap person who goes and collects scrap around there. And he'll usually take and, you know, separate anything that's burnable from his scrap and put it in that pile. And I know that's what happened here. So basically, this guy went out and took, you know, not the best speakers in the world. These were mass-produced by Infinity, but still they're an Infinity, and still they're pretty decent speaker. So basically, he took and got about $1.50 worth of scrap that he took in for it, when he could have just probably put these either on the side of the road with a for sale sign on them, or anywhere on the internet. I mean, I found them for people want as much as $1,500 for a pair, and quite a bit of people watching it. And what's crazy enough is I can actually get all of the components. I haven't been able to find the subwoofers, well, or excuse me, the woofers, but I figure I could find a pretty reasonable match that could go in there. If I was to go down that route of restoring these, there's a couple things I would have to do. One is, if you notice, there's absolutely no bracing. I know you can't really see in there too well. And there's no polyfill. And I was looking online, and a lot of the things that the people were saying about this was, if you upgraded them with that, was that they're a pretty good speaker. They liked the mids and the highs and stuff like that. And a lot of people, more than one people, had commented on these actually knocking pictures off the wall. And I've seen it. But what I would do is, yeah, I would probably take and do some bracing on the side and on the back, kind of like they did with that Serwin Vega that I just did a video on. Like I said, I could find everything for this online, including the crossovers. So I could do that, or I ask you, if you're still with us, should I do a completely custom build on there, meaning make my own crossover, pick out my own tweeters, pick out my own mid-range, pick out, you know, what woofer will be best for that. Maybe download some speaker software to figure out, you know, the dynamics and everything. A little bit of a background on these is these were actually modeled after an SM, I don't want to get this wrong, I think a 102 is what it was, which was a 10-inch driver, three-way design, mid-range, and crossover. But so basically what they did with these was they just took everything, and you know, as you got the 12-inch, they would put bigger drivers in and everything would get bigger. The cabinet, crossover, everything would get bigger. Basically, they're based off of a different speaker, which is a smaller design, and they didn't really care about, you know, changing the dynamics, which stuff would have to get changed in order to perform the same way and have the same dynamics as that original speaker. If you're still with me, thank you. So one thing I was thinking about doing was kind of doing like with that JVC and bi-wiring these, put the woofer, you know, on a separate thing, and then try to close off on the inside and just have a full 3-range speaker with our crossover over there, probably integrated into there somewhere. Or if I put the crossover inside, I'll just cover kind of that hole where the crossover usually goes. And maybe try something like that. Put some polyfill in it. Let me know down in the comments what you think if you made it this far again. Thank you. But let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas, yeah, maybe I'll try them out. But alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for sticking around. Consider leaving a like and subscribing if you like this. I've been making a lot more content lately, so please make sure to stick around for that.